call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. Time is 6 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 2, establishment of a quorum. We have Commissioner Diaz, Commissioner Butler, Commissioner Santana, Commissioner Barnes, and Commissioner Avalos present. Item number 3, comments must notify the board to speak on certain agenda items to 5 minutes. Public can comment by calling 915-213-3008. PIN code is 88861087#. Or if in person, you must sign in to the sign-in sheet provided. That's 915-213-3008, PIN code 888-610-087#. Consent agenda. Commissioners, anything you would like to pull out of consent agenda?
Negative.
Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
And just so for information, you all can turn on your microphones now and leave them on, and
Yes.
we have the soundproofing now. Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
And Commissioner Avalos?
Aye.
Motion carries. Regular agenda, discussion and communications report by Elva Ramos.
Hey, Roger, we have people sign up to talk. Was that now or?
Yes, that's now. You signed up.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, hello, good evening. For the month of April, there were a total of 71 calls for claims, 113 for Haven, 111 for Montana Vista, 123 for San Gonzalo, 234 for Coral, and 146 for West Valley. As far as the COVID calls go, there were one confirmed COVID patient for Kent Haven in West Valley. The rest had zero confirmed. As far as the fire marshal inspections go, there were a total of 21, and permits issued 31, and 0 as a social permit. As far as the alcohol goes, there was a total of 14 more response for Kent, 0 not available, 1 for Hayden, 1 not available, 0 for Montana, 1 no response not available, 1 no response for San Isidro, 0 not available, 5 no response for Socorro, 3 not available, 0 for West Valley for no response and not available. Totaling to 21 no responses and 4 not available. As far as the breakdown goes, there were a total of 20 no responses and 3 not available. Are there any questions?
Negative. No, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Any questions for Ms. Ramos?
No, sir.
Item number 6, informational purposes only. Item number 7, personal matters report by Tommy Cano.
Good evening, Commissioners. We continue to assist the district with personnel matters. We're currently having the review of candidates that are coming through Indeed for the current vacancies you all have. We're trying to diligently recruit, I guess, in a sense, right, and fit for the applicants that have the experience and in the district. We are currently assisting the chief with the projects that we have regarding personnel salaries and material utilization and things of that nature, and continue to help Chief Alvaro with the personnel matters of people that are using the department and all the personnel files.
Now, we talked about salaries last week a little bit. Is that going to be?
They'll be on the personnel matters under executive session.
We talked about recruitment, we talk about
How's that?
retention.
How's that going for you?
So
Recruitment.
it's a little slow because there's a lot going on right now. Everyone's on the same page as far as the battle of the fittest, I guess. So again, that's still a work in progress. We are seeing minimal activity on community, but nonetheless, some activity is better than that.
Is that a good vehicle for outreach indeed? I always hear the commercials, but is that something that works? Does it reach the, I don't know, I want to say,
Indeed is the most popular platform at this time. You can use Monster and all these other ones, but there's a really high cost, and I don't see a benefit to those expenditures for those platforms. I'm an avid user of the.
okay.
It's a matter of-
Is it reaching the target audience? I'm sorry.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like the high school kids, the,
Yes, I know that, and I think she had said something about, she's currently internally promoting that within his people to promote that to those local high schools and things of that nature, but as far as the research aspects, the elite platform is what we're using to
okay.
reach those demographics as far as the year for them.
Pre-COVID, El Paso used to be a lake. You can kind of get an understanding of the pool of people. And it used to be a lake in El Paso. El Paso River being a small city. Now it's a pond. And everybody's fishing off the same pond.
Wow.
And you probably don't know, you're a professional about this as well. Your competition is literally across the street, not this.
Yeah.
And it could.
Sure.
But competition is anybody wants to work, we're offering more money, period. We don't care if you have more things or not. So Indeed and all these platforms, have become very, very popular, but also everybody's trying.
Good point.
Everybody's struggling. There's not one industry that we say is something more than the other. Every industry we represent.
Perfect.
How many positions are you trying to hire for? right now?
Just firefighters, two,
Firefighter, two?
maybe three.
I mean, all the way up to Demi. We saw it on the news.
Oh, yeah.
Demi had everybody walk out. And it's become very, very territorial and also very competitive.
But as we talk recruitment, retention, we talked about pay and stuff
And
like that.
that's what we're going to be presenting in the executive session.
Okay.
What we did. Get your ideas as well, give your input, and then.
Perfect. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 7 for informational purposes only. Item number 8, discussion and monthly report by Chief Esparza. Commissioners, I'm gonna make this fairly quick. On buildings, we are waiting for materials for the Montana, the WVFD roof. We also had all the roof looked at, as we did have sustained a lot of damage out there because of the hail that happened a couple of weeks ago. So our insurance has already been out there. We had air conditioners go out. They're mostly irreparable. It costs too much to repair them. So our insurance will be covering that. And again, one of the things that we'll be waiting for is supplies. So the roof that was going to be replaced, it's scheduled not to arrive here till June or July now. So we're hoping that it gets here and then they'll install a new roof. Now, when it comes to the air conditioners, we'll see what the supply is available. And we might have to wait a while. We're being told on some air conditioners that we have to replace those. We're looking at about a year. So it depends on what needs to be replaced.
Now, do we have to get in an ordering queue, for lack of better terms?
We
Or
do.
are we going to wait till they come in and try to get in
Well,
line?
As soon as our insurance says how much they're going to pay for the repairs or replacement of those units, I'm going to give the direction after I talk to Commissioner Santana tomorrow to go ahead and order. But we feel that some of those could have been avoided because we did, back in the day, we added small mini splits to a unit that had big commercial units.
Right.
And I think it's something we can repair now that we replaced all those big air conditioners, that we can fix it correctly and not have those mini splits. So it could be one of those things that we can look at. We are looking at every avenue to make it work. So that's for West Valley. At the Montana Vista Station number 2, we are currently awaiting for the panels. Everything else is being built. We're running into an issue with the water. We filled out all the application for water through El Paso County. And today we got notified that by El Paso Water Utilities that now they want a plat survey and they want a drainage survey and they want a utility survey. So that's probably going to be something that we're going to incur a cost in. We're trying to talk to everybody because that was not addressed to us. That building's been there over 20 years and I can't see how they're going to expect for us to go reverse engineer all that to make it happen.
Do we
So
get tank water out there or no?
what's that?
Tanked water or no?
Can we get tanked water?
Yeah.
No, there's actual water
Is there
there.
water lines out
Oh,
there?
yeah, there's water.
Okay, okay.
So that's what we're trying to connect, but from the county, all the requirements we met, but then we got to El Paso Water and now they're requiring this. So we called the county and they're trying to address why it is that we're being requested of all that. So we might have to pay somebody to go and design this and redo it just because that's a new requirement for El Paso Water.
But we're in the county, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, but apparently the county is trying to turn over all the water services to El Paso Water as they're the experts in water and the county is not. So El Paso Water Utilities will be servicing all of Montana where it used to be county water. They're also they're looking to turn everything the county has in waters to El Paso Water. So now we're being forced to meet their requirements, even though that it's not yet required, but they want it.
I
So-
know that part of county's been hooked up to city water now for 2 years. So
For what?
city water
Mm-hmm.
has been hooked up to city water for 2 years out there.
Okay.
So it's, yeah, different rules.
Right, but since now they're trying to turn it over, El Paso Water wants to implement their rules. And so we've already passed the inspection by the county, but apparently we're probably not gonna pass the inspection by the city because now we're gonna, since they're considering it a commercial building, they might wanna make us spend the money on a big commercial backflow instead of the small residential one, because the water that we're gonna use there is minimal. So they might want that. So
You better run a garden hose from Chief's house in.
So we're looking into all that. Also, to touch up on buildings, a little bit of good news. We've been talking to one of the developers that's out here getting permits for new buildings. And we were looking for a piece of land out in the Socorro area. And he's got land that's available for us to look at. Of course, since we've been working with them, they were willing to look at it. He asked how much. I know that last time we had a discussion, how big of a property. I say about an acre to make it work, but I gotta get with the city of Socorro, see if they're gonna need some drainage pond, because we might need an acre and a half if they require that, or maybe a little bit bigger. But they do have land available. It's on new Hueco tanks for the proposed station that we did budget about $1 million for it. So if we can make it work, then we might be looking at purchasing something there. So this is new development just happened. He is sending me the plot of what he has available. And we might be able to make a fire station work in that area.
Just
The plot
for Socorro?
for Socorro.
You got tracking?
That's good news.
We might, we might. Depends on what the price of the property is. As far as vehicles, our semi is almost up and running. We ended up, right now, we're about almost $8,000, $9,000 worth of repairs, 5,000 miles on that vehicle. Hopefully, we got it right and it'll last us for infinity and beyond, if you would. All the other vehicles, we're running into problems that we can't find parts. And the most disheartening part is gonna be our fire trucks. All our fire trucks have specialized equipment, from the governors that are digital to, you name it, special equipment that goes in them from the factories, and parts are not readily available. So we're running into a crossroads. We're trying to find, even at this point, to get the trucks running, maybe even a used one, because I can't see ourselves waiting a year for some of the parts. So if we can make it work, I was told that some of the parts we need have to be programmed. We're trying to get our vendors to figure out how we can make it work, but we are gonna have to reach out to some scrap fire truck yards to see if we can find some of the parts. And not because that's what we want to, because I don't think we should be waiting over a year to get parts. So parts are becoming more and more not available. Same thing we're having with tires. So we will put an agenda item next one to discuss the tire issue that we're having, as that they're not gonna be available. How do we want to address that? I'm doing my research with Department of Transportation, because they do have a standard of when those tires need to be replaced. I can tell you that all our vehicles, they have new tires, but they've sat there in lack of use again. So can we go another 5, 6 years more with those tires until the economy settles down and we can find those? And those are things we need to get more in writing and in approvals, so that if something happens, we don't get in trouble ourselves. Also with the same fleet, all the new fleet, we're still waiting for accessories, things that were ordered back in the day from Montana Vista. We just got notified they weren't ordered. They were ordered the wrong ones. Same thing for West Valley. We're having to issue that. And again, some of these parts are going to be a year plus away. So we ordered back in October and we just got some parts and they weren't the correct ones. And now we're looking for more time.
So what's the plan? Do we tie the money up or do we
Well, it's tied up there, so I'm trying to cancel POs because obviously we can't get them and we can free up the money, or we can just reallocate it. Maria, correct me if I'm wrong, for next year, the same amount of money. It's not that we don't want to buy, it's nothing's readily available right now.
And I know it's a gray area. We tie the money up and hope it comes in, and then that money slips into next year unspent, and then it becomes a problem there. And
One of the other bigger problems that we're having is that, again, there's shortages, and Eddie just came up to me in purchasing and says, look, the coffee cups, they're not readily available, what we were buying. Some of the supplies that we're providing the stations they're not readily available, so we're having to limit. I gave an order for him to limit the amount of soft drinks we use here, because I don't think we should be drinking that much, and they're not readily available, and they're costing more. So we're cutting back on supplies. So we're making everything possible to cut the cost, and not only that, not put a more of a frustration on our purchasing department to try to find the equipment. So we're actively out there looking for every supply that the stations are needing, but they're not readily available. Any questions, commissioners?
No, sir.
Item number 8, informational purposes only.
I thought he said that. Yeah, I thought so. Wasn't clear.
Item number 9, discussion action on the use of audiovisual equipment in district vehicle service providers personnel, including retention, use, and non-use of same. Commissioners, I would like to postpone this one till after executive session, as legal has some information for you all on this item.
Did the chiefs?
Do we have public comment on this?
Yes.
We do.
Yeah, what do you think, discussion action, use of audio, visual, okay, this is for the body cams, right?
The dash cam.
Nobody for another net.
Okay.
And on Teams, there's any
I
way
got
to
something,
you?
did you get something from Bill?
No, nobody waiting.
All right,
And you're all able to see it right there. This is who's on that meeting.
now, is there any concern with this, or is there?
Well, the concern will be, this is on our side, is everything that the departments take video of during an active call is property of the district. No matter if they do it with their cell phones or our cell phones or their cameras, our cameras. The problem they're going to run into, we've already had open records request, and I believe that's Chief Adler.
Yeah, I know Bill had
Yeah.
Bill had.
The problem that we're going to run into is how do we retain information according to
Storage is the issue, right?
the storage?
Because if you're gonna use in court, there's gotta be a level 5 storage. That level 5 is fuzzy. I know I did some research on this in the past, and
Chief, do we provide our volunteers with the equipment? So if they are taking video, it's theirs. And the issue with the ESD that we're trying to come to an agreement with is that we have access to whatever they.
No,
It's
we
not
need to
theirs.
store it,
We need to store it.
right.
because if there's an open records request, it will not be to them, it'll be to us.
So the issue is not them having it, it's who's storing
Right,
whatever.
storage is the,
Okay.
Chief Adler, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Commissioners, I sent you all emails on this. First of all, good evening. Second of all, how is this going to affect regular photos that are taken of things such as training, incidents, you know, for official Facebook posts or official website posts, just more things to consider before an overall policy gets put into play, or just an overall cease order gets put into play. There's a lot of moving parts to this. Just you have my request already. You know where I'm coming from. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of, like, we take pictures of trainings, incidents, or et cetera, on personal cell phones or personal camera devices for our official Facebook posts. And our people are PIO officers. They know what to post. They know what not to post. I just want that to be taken into consideration, because that is one of our marketing tools, so our retention tools. I'd hate to have all that taken away from us.
So is the concern about the videos that are taken for training, or are you more concerned about videos that could cover liability on a scene?
After active calls, because that is all subject to open records. Everything is subject to open records. But whatever they're taking and putting to social media, it's already available for the public to see.
But we
It's
don't have to
the,
release it. We
it's
don't
the
have to release it.
sections,
If it's part of an investigation, we have the no to release it, right?
right? So like I said, there is more to this, and legal will give you all guidance on how to handle this.
Right.
Any other
The
questions?
camera, the camera I have in my vehicle, it does a 24-hour reboot or I don't know what you call it. It'll record over stuff, so it only holds it for 24 hours. So any incident that I have, I can download it and send it to you guys, or archive it for whatever future purposes, or however long the retention is for the state library. Whatever the policy is, I'll be happy to follow it.
I know there's some rules on it for investigative purposes. You can't just send it. It can't be, it has to be protected, so it can't be doctored and stuff like that, which I have no doubt anyone's gonna doctor it, but.
And again, legal has already looked at, even for the fire marshal side, we do have body cams. We're gonna have vehicle cams, but there is a software, the same one the sheriff's department uses, tells me who logged in, who viewed it, who shared it, who copied it, and who modified it. You can't do any of those. So that's why there's a bigger problem there.
Do we have that for the volunteers? Like, let's say a whole department were to say, hey, we want to use these body cams. We want our take homes with this mounted camera. Is there a way for us to help them with that, so that not only?
Unless we outfit all the vehicles, and we would be the ones that, just like the fire marshals are getting outfitted. But that would mean that we would have to incur all that expense for all of them. We would be the record holders for that.
Should they have that protection? I guess that's my question, is if they're going out to house calls and when people are at the most desperate state, should they have a way to report an
Document.
incident, document it in case something
I-
is falsely leveled against one? So what?
Again, there could be good and there could be bad. So again, legal wants to give you all his guidance on that.
But we'll come back to this after the executive session. Okay.
Bill, you have any questions, Bill? Bill, that semi-answer your?
No.
No?
That's one half of it, is the actual incidents. The other half is to just be my witness while I'm driving. Because anybody can be sued for anything. I could wind up in civil court, and the district's not going to protect me in that case. So having my own witness is pretty valuable to me. So it's just a tool.
Just so you know,
Just like any-
if there is an incident where he's in an accident in our vehicle, our insurance does cover him.
I was gonna say,
No matter if they go after him civilly, our insurance covers it.
Yeah, Bill, I agree. I don't think this requires a quick answer, but a good legal opine, a review, maybe, and I know there's options out there.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Chief.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioners, we're postponing item number 9 till after executive session.
Yeah, do we owe an answer today, or do we owe it way ahead?
Well, you all can after you come out of executive, you can ponder on it and say you want to postpone it till next month. You can, it's up to you all as the board to decide. Item number 10, discuss and take action approving the repairs on pumper 801, VIN number 9A009872 to replace primer pump, motor assembly parts ordered through Sims Martin, the amount of $2,177.55. The semi-truck from the district office repairs from Cummings Sales and Service in the amount of $8,549.25, and fuel from CNR Distributed in the amount of $2,230.46. Commissioners, of course, like I said earlier, these are repairs that are being ordered. Parts for pumper 801 are still pending. That's one of the trucks that we're looking for actively. The parts have ordered on some, but then there's other parts that are not readily available. We're reaching out to all our vendors. And then the semi-truck, of course, I mentioned it last month. It's got 5,000 miles on it. Piston rings got stuck, had to be disassembled. Right now, the cost is at $8,500, $49.25. We had an estimate from our local repair shop at $21,000. So of course, we're doing very good here, fixing it ourselves through our mechanic. CNR fuels, we're continuing to make sure our fuel tank has fuels. Of course, if you look at the invoice, we don't have the same amount of fuel that we were buying a couple months ago. And this just keeps getting more and more expensive. But we're trying to maintain a good source of fuel for everybody in case it gets more expensive. And we're buying it cheaper than everybody else.
Is there a cost benefit to buy bulk or no?
There is a cost, but we haven't figured out what that is yet because right now prices go up daily. So depends on how much we're buying at the cost of right at 2,000 or 2,000 to be able to get 500 gallons, if I'm not mistaken, and even less on some points. Have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Butler. Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
And Commissioner Avalos?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 11, discuss and take action on approving pump tests through Firefighter Trucks, Inc. for all fire departments, Clint at the amount of 1,750, Favens 1,750, Montana Vista 1,750, San Isario 1,400, Socorro 1,400, for a total of 8,050. I believe they might have missed West Valley. Oh, no, it was last month. For 8,050. This is a budgeted item, Commissioner. We do this every year.
Move to approve.
I heard both of you at the same time, so one of you want to be second? Motion by Commissioner Olo, second by Commissioner Butler. Commissioner Diaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Butler,
Aye.
Commissioner Santana,
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes,
Aye.
and Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. Discuss and take action on ratifying the invoices for Marcus Technology for Montana Vista Fire Rescue in the amount of 2,475 with 62 cents, and the district in the amount of 2,720.80. Commissioners, this is for, we updated our website. The old platform went out of obsolete, so we had to update ours. At the same time, Montana Vista came up to us and says, we'd like to have the same things you all have, and I can't see why not. So now Montana Vista has a new website, and apparently it looks very nice. So keeping up with what we're doing out throughout the district, I'd like to ratify these and make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Santana, second by Commissioner Diaz. Commissioner Diaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Butler,
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 13, discuss and take action on reimbursing Montana Vista Fire Rescue in the amount of 2,195 previously approved tuition fees for one member to attend ProAction Inc. for basic EMT course. Commissioners, this is one member that was approved to go, just a motion to approve it since it's over 2,000.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barnes, second by Commissioner Santana. Commissioner Diaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Butler,
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. By the way, I can't tell if your microphones are on because the
Right there, push his button.
Thank you.
item number 14, discuss and approve bid number MV 2022-0513-1, Montana Vista Fire Station number 1 to demolish and build a new metal prefab building to meet our needs at Montana Vista. I believe Commissioner Santana has this, the only bid available. And it was sent out to all our vendors that signed up.
This is by Master Team USA. For Montana Vista Fire Department 1. Grand total of $1,350,000.
I'm sorry?
$1,350,000.
Commissioners, this is something we'll have to look at. I can't remember the budget items.
It was 745,000.
Of course, everything went up, skyrocketed, but then we do have money from, if we buy the property for Socorro, we'll have a lot of money left over there because we're not gonna build anything yet, so we can probably make it work, but let me get the numbers worked out. We'll come back to you at the next meeting.
So we're gonna table this.
Well, you open the bid and then we gotta look and see if it's available. And if it even met the bid requirements.
You're talking about replacing everything east of the kitchen pretty much, right?
East of the dorm, right there where the dorm's at, demolish all the old fab and the building within the building and build a new one to accommodate them.
So the old El Paso, the old sheriff section would go down,
Yes,
and what used to be the tiendita where they used to sell like
Store.
the
Yes.
store, that's gonna go down.
yes.
The kitchen stay up, right?
The kitchen stays up. But the main entrance, from where the main entrance to the
Uh-huh.
station is,
Right?
all that is part of the old, so all that back, straight back along the wall, right where you walk into the new bays where the fire station, the fire
Right.
trucks are at,
And then in the
That'll-
back where they had the RV park or whatever they were doing there for a while, that's gonna go down too.
that's gonna go down.
It's quite a bit, okay.
So it is quite a bit of building and 1.3 million, I don't think it's bad, but we'll have to look and see why we can get it. Make a motion to approve the only bid, and then we'll ratify it at the next meeting.
So just again, we're not ratifying that this is.
We're
it.
not
gonna-
approving that we're gonna spend 1.3. You're approving that this is the only bid that was opened, and you read the number of 1,350,000.
Would that be for information only?
No, you have to accept it if, the only one.
Accept the bid, so.
Accept the
motion to
bid.
approve, to accept the bid.
Second.
We have a motion to accept the bid and not award it yet until we clarify if the funds are available. Motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Diaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Butler,
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes.
Aye.
And Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 15, discuss and approve the building repairs at the district office by Train Technologies in the amount of $9,280.50. Half of the amount to be paid by the district office and the other half to be paid by Master Teams USA. Commissioners, this bill is stemming from the reconstruction of this facility. Part of the system was not functional when they started the construction. So we did hire out Train Technologies to come and identify the problems with it. So they did, and then at the same time, Master Teams run into some problem because some of the workers they contracted cut some of the lines out. So they billed the only account it had, so it was $9,280.50. So Mario sat down with Train and Master Teams. It was identified that half of it was theirs and half of it is ours. So we do have money in the building repair and maintenance to address this. So we'd like approval for us to take care of that, and Master Teams will refund us half of that amount.
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Santana. Commissioner Diaz,
Aye.
Commissioner Butler,
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 16, discuss and approve the purchase of new razor for Fabens Fire Department.
So Commissioners, the reason why I put this on here is I visited the Fabens Fire Station a few weeks ago. Actually, Roger and I did, both chiefs did, and we did. And one of the issues that came up was the responses to the border, the wall situation, and them having to actually go in and actually walk, or the only vehicle being able to go to where they are needed to be would be something like a razor. So the concern was now with the summer coming in, and we know that the influx of people coming over is going to be higher. They're going to need something for their ability to respond and to help the people there. So what Chief Gonzalez did today was that he printed out some documents for you to give you some numbers, give you a map, an idea of what they're going through, what they have to see on this front. Chief Esparza has those, and I believe he signed up also to speak on this so that he can give you more details to it. But in visiting with them and seeing what they're responding to, it seems something that we should at least consider or be open to. Especially with now the number of migrants that will probably be coming over, the responses, the calls to respond to the wall will probably only increase. So If you're ready.
Did you bring the razor with you?
Yes, because I wanted to show you guys.
That's what I'm talking about.
You see, for me to tell you guys, hey, it's not what we can show, it's not something that's usable. I wanted to show you guys exactly what it is that we're working with. So a while back, we had bought this particular razor, it was more designed for search and rescue, go out and find people, gain access to brush fire. It was never intended to bring people out of certain situations. Now, the problem that we're having is that we did have a large increase in border calls. On the forms that I'm sending you, or that I printed out for you guys, between Sinel and Socorro, they cover approximately 9.5 miles of border. Bay Bends covers 19.5 miles, over double the amount that they cover. So the problem that we're having is that we don't have the access, we have no way of getting the patients out of these border call situations. If you're not familiar with the border wall, the area that we're trying to get access to is about maybe 2/3 of what a normal roadway is. Yeah, if you look at your normal lane of traffic, we're looking at about 2/3. So a normal vehicle is not going to make it through. Several of those areas have really bad washouts. Some of those areas have a 40-degree incline. So they're very dangerous. And the bad part about it is we have no way of getting any of our Tahoes in there. None of our trucks are able to get in there. So we do have to go with an ATV. The problem that we're having is when these patients fall off the wall, they're breaking legs, they're suffering all sorts of traumatic injuries, broken backs, broken skulls. So we need to immobilize them and we need to put them somewhere on an ATV to get them out of there. The problem that we're having is that you can see the vehicle that we have outside, we don't have that capability. It's a 4-seater, we have no way of putting anybody immobilized in there. It's not designed to bring anybody out of anywhere. This is for more of a walking, non-injured person that can, get into this vehicle. So I need something that we can load somebody into and get them out. So we started looking around and we're looking at a UTV, it's a Ranger, that has kind of like a skid in the back. It's kind of almost similar to what Sinelli currently has right now. So we want to get this, it's not so much that we want it, we really need it. What's happening is that when these calls come out, we're responding to it. The problem that we're having is that we can get to the patients with this ATV that we have, we just can't get them out. So what we have to do is wait for Border Patrol to show up with theirs, or we have to wait for Sinelli to show up with theirs. And it's not always a guarantee that they're going to be there. We've had situations where Border Patrols is not working, so we have to page out Sinelli. So if you've ever broken a leg, an arm, or anything, that's pretty painful. Now imagine sitting there in the cold, on the dirt, waiting for us to get to you, and then now we gotta wait for an ATV to come over and come get you. So what's happening is that we cover more border than any other department, yet we're the ones that don't have anything to get them out. All the departments have that access. So that's why I'm coming to you guys saying that, hey, we really do need this. We needed this last year. On the second page that I gave you, on the very top, 2020, 43 calls, that's not a whole lot. But look at 2021, we went all the way up to 111. That's a huge jump. Now, for 2022, we were kind of lucky. This is as of March. We only had 9 calls, but it's only because of Title 42. Title 42, if you're not familiar with it, is going to keep people from coming over. If you catch them, we send them back. So there's not a whole lot of people wanting to risk coming over if we're just going to ship them back when they're busted. Now that that's going to be eliminated, we're going to start seeing a lot more of an influx coming in because now if they come in and they're busted, they can still stay. And that's I have the numbers here. Border Patrol was saying that they're expecting, when Title 42 is terminated, they're expecting 18,000 additional people crossing the border every day. So this number of 9, that's going to increase exponentially. And this is something that we really need. It's we sent out the quote to you guys in the special projects email. The ATV that we're asking for is going to be roughly about $32,000. And that's going to be a 3-seater. It's 2 in the front, and the back. You're going to have 1 seat with the patient skid and a chair right next to him, so we can provide patient care as we're getting them out of there.
Chief Gonzalez, a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
First question is, do you respond to Hudspeth? Can you let the rest of the commissioners know? Do you ever respond to Hudspeth? And then second question, that razor that's out there, just so that everybody on this board is aware, was purchased before Chief Reyes was
That's
chief,
correct.
correct?
That's correct.
Do you guys make response calls to Hudspeth County?
So the fortunate part, I have gotten in contact with Fort Hancock, that asked them why
if they're patient stop. Apparently the border wall ends somewhere between the county line and Fort Hancock. So a lot of these people, rather than jumping, they're just gonna walk right around.
Okay.
So they don't have the problems of people jumping off. They said it's extremely rare
Okay.
for them to have anything. So, but for us, our whole area is covered with border wall. We're
Right.
talking about 35, 40 feet. And so some of these people are, yeah, exactly, that's normal.
Just for you, I know they make prefabs. We talked about this a couple months, right? Is it a matter of buying a new Gator or a new UTV? Or is it a matter of buying the back end of it?
What are your thoughts, Chief Esparza, on all this?
So I know that we discussed it the last meeting with Fabens, and they were supposed to send us their wants and needs for us to look at and evaluate and possibly even get a lead time on a unit. As of right now, I don't have a lead time or what the cost is going to be. I can guarantee you that the price that they submitted is no longer a good price, and it's probably doubled. And that unit's probably over a year out, if anything. So it's not something that we will be able to accomplish right now unless we go pay top dollar. And number one is, do we even have the money? Of course, we could possibly use some of the money of the sold units, but we still have to address the fact that, do we want to? Now, everybody wants a skid and everybody wants a medic unit that looks like is actually the unit they sent at 32,000. If you remember correctly, Commissioner Santana, the one for Sonelli, we paid 16,000 for it. I think that's way more than what we need to
Is that
address this.
for the Gator, you talking about the Gator?
Yes, just the unit itself.
Because these, you know, I know you like.
And the skid in itself, it's,
5,000, under $5,000, you get a whole
Right.
prefab.
What happens is that, so when we look, we've played Sinelli before, because we've had to call them in. The only problem that we have with the one that Sinelli has is that the turning radius is really bad on that. And for their area, it's great. You know, they do have the space to be able to make a U-turn over there. We don't. Our area is a little more, let's put it this way, a lot more narrow than what they have to play with. So the bad part about it, the four wheels in the back, that makes that turning radius way worse.
No, it does. Yeah.
And the bad part about it is that we're talking about we're working in the middle of the night, so turning radius is a big thing.
I'm sorry, the what?
The turning radius.
No, but what did you say you had in the back?
It's a four-wheel in the back?
No, it's a two-wheel.
No, because I don't know what makes it harder with the turning radius. This one we played with before, the one that we researched. They do have one up in Fort Bliss. So the turning radius in that one is a lot easier to get around. I don't know if it's the manufacturer or what it is. But I know the one that we've been looking at does have a pretty good turning radius, and the turn radius is super important. It's not so much to make it easier for us. It's that if we can't turn enough, it's a 20-foot drop into the water after that. What's happening is it's this area that we're trying to get into. It's one huge cement slab on one side, and less than 10 feet away is a 20-foot drop into another way. And we're doing this in the dark. So that's why turning radius is extremely important. The suspension is extremely important. I mean, yeah, true, you can actually go out and ask, hey, can we just get your basic unit? Sure. But those units aren't getting into areas that we're trying to get in.
Chief Esparza, does another department have something comparable that they could get right now that maybe that department doesn't use as much?
The only department that has anything to it, and I'm still trying to figure out which one because I wasn't sent anything other than this right now, is the Socorro. And it's a two-seater. And that's the only department. Everybody else has a six-seater, right? Yours is the only two-seater? Theirs is the only two-seater. And I don't know if that's why he says it's got a better turning radius because it's shorter by about 3 feet. But other than that, they're all pretty much the same.
Well, these prefabs take away the back seats. You know, they put one seat in the back for their patient and they've got two front seats. Is this something we can work with Border Patrol on also?
This is something that Border Patrol should be handling is
Well,
that
I
is
mean,
their,
we get toned out. The Border Patrol is going to say, okay, you guys got the call. We're not sending it over.
I've talked to them already. I've talked to the supervisor multiple times. They can't reach out and give us any. The only thing that they can do is work on what they have already. So as far as getting any sort of funding from them, there's no. And the bad part about it is whenever their unit is out, we're kind of stuck there waiting for the next unit, which we see another come out.
Right, I understand.
So I mean, we need something of our own. And the one that we quoted, the 32,000, that one is an enclosed front seat because a lot of the times we're out there at 2, 3 in the morning at degrees in the teens, in the middle of the winter. So something like this, I mean, if you're driving down this road at about 20, 30 miles an hour, you're freezing. And the one that we're trying to get is enclosed so that we don't have to be putting up with that condition. You know, we're already out there 2, 3 in the morning, and we don't want to be slapped with 30, 28 mile an hour winds, team weather. So that's why I said, I mean, that'll work, sure. But is it safe? Is it going to help? You know, is it something comfortable that we
Well,
provide our people?
Just so you know,
What about
Commissioners,
having a
nothing is going to be,
windshield up in the front. I mean, I know you want bells and whistles. I mean, have we looked at doing just a front windshield? Are we looking at Kubotas as well? Kubota has a diesel engine that will outlive the Polaris Rangers. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's what we use. John Deere has a diesel engine as well. I mean, this is something, other avenues that we have to start looking at. Polaris, yes, I know what you're looking for, but a lot of these other ones are industrial and they'll do the job. They're 4x4s. I mean, I use them on a daily basis on all my job sites. And I mean, I've got rough job sites, like what you're saying, rough terrain, and they work for us.
Right, but we tried to look at the diesels that we did look at. They were too wide for us. Get in there. I don't know if maybe we're just looking in the wrong area, but the ones that we were trying to get hold of, the diesels were too big.
Just go ahead and look at the UTVs under Kubota. I mean, there's a Kubota dealership here in El Paso on Hawkins.
There's one here, right down in Favens too. No. Didn't get them. We leased 20 Kubotas. What he's talking about, little 3-cylinder diesel,
Yeah.
and they work very well. Width, I don't know about. End of the day, we got a guy hanging upside down we're trying to get him some medical attention.
there's
You know,
a lot more to look at that. We've purchased them before. We've been buying them for 16,000, windshield, safety, ROPS windows, but for us to put a unit out there to carry a patient and an individual in the back, if with an unstable surface, it could be a recipe for disaster because the person inside the cab is going to be protected if they're wearing their seatbelt from the ROP system. The person outside is not going to be protected.
If they have back injuries, we're not going to put them in the back seat unless my assumption is right.
No, I'm saying the person that they're trying to haul in the back of the bed with a skid. There's a seat for somebody to sit there.
Right.
And obviously, that's going to be one of our guys, or maybe even one of Life's people, because they're the medics for that. So
Right.
that's what we have to account, because if we put somebody that's not our employee and they get injured, we'll be liable for that
I
injury.
got you. The one I'm looking at, probably the same one, those prefab ones, they do have seat belts for but I got it.
Yeah, just.
When you're trying to keep someone alive, I don't have a seatbelt on, I get it, you know.
The one that we included does have a seatbelt. It was also, we looked into it. If that were to roll, the person inside is not gonna hit their head on the ground because it's actually got a kind of a lift. And I wouldn't say it's a roll cage,
Yeah,
but it's extended enough to where it's not gonna squash our person in the back.
Okay, I do have a question. And here's an extra question. Food for thought. How many hours do you have on your unit right now?
That I'm not sure, I haven't checked. I know that one we've had for almost about 10 years.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be able to tell you how many hours. But we have used it for all sorts of different things, whether search and rescues, brush fires, border responses, and we've never used it as much as we had until these border calls started coming out. And like I said, 111 in 1 year. I mean, we're out there multiple times a night. We had a thing called Border Wednesdays because it seemed like every Wednesday we're out there multiple times because they're high traffic.
Okay.
So up until about a year ago, we started realizing like, hey, this is something that we need to upgrade. We need something better. We've put it in the shop a few times over some issues, but we need something better. I mean, if you guys can help us
About
find something better, then I'm all ears.
availability, do you know if they have units available? The ones that you're looking at?
But unfortunately, I'm not the one that got the quote on that. Our captain did.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, he was suspended, so he did that. I don't have that.
So Commissioner, remember, the last one we purchased, we had to go all the way to Phoenix.
Yeah.
And it was the only one available. So we'll have to do research and see if a unit's available and what it's going to cost at this moment in time. We went from a $16,000 unit, it's probably now going to be like $32,000
And it's not that.
just for the unit.
We're not trying to get something nice because it looks cool or anything like that. No, everything that we did, after a year and a half of cost living out there, we know what we need. You know, we've been through all this cold weather, we've been through all these, scary situations where we've almost rolled. So everything from the suspension down to the doors, it was, we thought about it carefully.
Well, I think it's something you look into. I think you're spot on with Title 42. It's gonna increase
Right.
numbers. It's just life, you know what I'm saying? How we get our, our neighbors off the fence and get them to medical safety.
So this unit has to be able to accommodate several things. One, carry a 35-foot ladder. Two, carry a patient.
Very what?
Carry a patient.
Yeah.
So the biggest issue is the 35-foot ladder.
And that's gonna have to go up on top or?
Right.
So it's gonna have to be reinforced at that point in time.
And it will have to be a certified ROPS system in case it rolls over. And
With the ladder.
it will not collapse and injure the person sitting in the back.
Unfortunately, the areas that we go to, sometimes these people want to jump. You see 4 people ahead of you jump and get hurt, and some people just decide to stay up there. So we do sometimes have to go up there and get it down ourselves. So getting a 35-foot ladder up there is pretty tough.
And again, there isn't anything else in the ESD right now that can accommodate those two things. It can hold a 35-foot ladder and carry a patient.
Not with the 35-foot ladder, none of them. Sonelli has been making do with what we got them. I think it's worked out, but we have to use like I said, the only other truck is Socorro's, and it doesn't have a way to carry a 35-foot ladder, and that's a heavy ladder. So we would have to purchase something that could carry that much weight on top of it without damaging the ROPS. One of the things that we noticed on the current vehicle they have, they loaded that 35-foot ladder on top of it and they cracked the ROPS system. Well, ROPS meaning rollover protection system. And they cracked it to the point where if that thing failed, it will show that it wasn't going to withstand because of the cracks that it had on the welds. So we have to purchase something that will be able to do this. And we're talking, one is probably in the thousands of dollars, and two, we might not be able to get it this year.
Well,
This is-
I just want to say I have a tremendous amount of empathy for what you all are going through and how you're responding, as well as migrants, right? And it's not something, regardless of federal policies, it's not going to go away. So I would like us to try to accommodate the request as much as possible, and as soon as possible, and think of the challenges as opportunities and not barriers to getting this done.
And I've called Summit Park Fire, I've called Paso, and I've talked to these individual departments, and I've asked how they handle it. But they're not facing anything that we're facing. They can actually drive a pumper to
Yeah.
the scene and get these people. We don't have that luxury. And unfortunately, we've had some near misses already. We've had people almost fall in. We've had actually, some of the migrants that were pulling out of these arroyos. We're doing rope rescues over there. It's dangerous, especially out in the bar, trying to get access. So my biggest concern is my personal safety. I mean, I consider these people family. 2 of them are actual real family of mine. So, I mean, I'm glad you guys make the right decision. If you guys can help us out.
Chief, and just so everybody knows, you explained this to myself and the other chiefs the night we met with you. Border Patrol apparently only has one rescue unit to accommodate everything from like us up to the east side or even the west side, right? Like there's one that goes in between everything. So if they're busy, let's say on the border highway, you're waiting for them, or they're not responding down here.
Exactly.
Out in Lemoore, for example, you had an incident out there,
Yeah,
right?
because their ATV is located at their tent station. So if something were to come up, they gotta find an available unit to go over to get it, hook it up, and then come over to our area where we're at. So I mean, the fortunate part is at least we have that in the meantime, so we can at least get to the patient and do what we have to do. And if you look at the numbers, I mean, we've had some really bad patients, we've had fatalities out there, we've had really bad ones out there. And the bad part about it is that people on the other side, the ones that are crossing over, they're using us to their advantage, Some of these individuals are getting pushed off the wall, so that whenever we go looking for them, Border Patrol is busy with them, so they start crossing people somewhere else. You have a lot of horrible calls out there, a lot of horrible stories as well. And so it's not so much that we're trying to do this, I mean, there's a lot going on. There's more to just the patient care side of it. We're trying to keep up with them. And, it's really hard when you don't have the resources to get these patients out and go on to the next one. So one of the calls we went to, they have 4 patients in 4 different areas. We went for one and located 3 additional patients in that area. So I mean, it's really hard out there.
At the end of the day, the assumption is gonna be, you get toned out for this, you're gonna be by yourself. You're gonna have what you take with you. That's it, toned out.
Chief, so we can accommodate them. Once we get them what they need, then we can take what they currently have and put it to use here, right?
Can that go out to maybe Montana, Vista? I
Or
mean,
we could do that, yeah.
that'd be something.
We
to
can,
think
we
about.
can look at that. So I like to propose this, since we need one right now. And I can guarantee you we're not gonna find one right now. I know that we had, Socorro has theirs. We can order one for Socorro later and get them the new one that Socorro has to Fabens, and we can figure out how to outfit it to where it can do that. If you all are okay with that, because I can tell you right now, it's gonna be nearly impossible.
That's cheap, find a gator. You want one, find one. But the other thing is collaboration. Are we thinking too far inside the box? You know, are we only thinking about gators with?
No. I'm talking in general, anything. For me to go out there and look for something, it's gonna take time. We will find something. Now, what is the guidance that the board wants to give me at whatever it costs? Or do we want to set a limit? Because right now it could be way up there.
I think bring us back some proposals for what it's gonna cost, and then we can decide, depending on what the budget looks like, whether,
If we have
you
to
know,
have an
maybe
impromptu
2 or 3
board,
options.
And like I said, we have one right now. I just texted Chief Sariana if he's willing to wait on one, because this is fairly new. And we'll give that to Fabens, and he said, yes, he could wait on another one.
But is that the one
To
you
make
said
it work.
doesn't have the, oh, okay.
It's a smaller wheelbase than what Sanelli got, so obviously it's got a better turning radius.
but can it accommodate?
Well, we will have to outfit it. Any vehicle that we buy, we're gonna have to outfit it for that
Because
purpose.
these things look like they go on anything. These prefab units that have the seat and the stretcher.
Right,
Accommodation.
right, but remember, we're gonna have to outfit a unit to be able to support a 35-foot ladder.
Right, the
And
ladder
that's,
is gonna be-
so that's what I'm saying. No matter which unit we get, we'll have to accommodate for a 35-foot ladder.
And again, it may be different type, maybe coming out of different budgets, but like a lot of the buildings we're going to get to, which are necessary, that's future. This is a current situation that they need, especially again, going back to what
Title 42.
Commissioner, the Title 42 thing. If in fact the federal government does allow it to expire, those numbers are going to get high, and then that's going to put them in a difficult situation. So that's my only concern.
So the unit is already here. Chief Sariana has already said he can wait for another one, and they can have that fairly new one that he's got.
And then just figure out
How to
accommodate-
outfit it to accommodate that.
Chief, that helps you guys out quickly?
Yes.
Okay, get in.
I mean, once this Title 42 gets terminated, I know we're gonna.
Right.
We've been lucky so far this past couple months. But I know we're gonna be facing something bigger.
Well, we have to make sure that Socorro's unit will satisfy your needs on it.
Right.
It's exactly what Commissioner Barnes had on that picture.
And honestly, even if I can at least get an ATV that can at least get us there, get the patient out.
It does have windows and it does have doors. Correct me if I'm wrong. It does have doors, the plastic doors. And those, of course, those are all accessories that we can possibly order and order a plastic door.
Yeah, because the ladder thing, that only accounts for approximately 5% of our calls out there at the boardwalk. So 95% just involves us just trying to get in there and get the patient. So if we can at least get that in the meantime, we're happy with that. That at least covers 95% of our calls.
I
So
think,
then the motion is for
for us
them-
to look for another unit to replace Socorro. Socorro hand over the one they have to Fabens as an immediate need and go from there.
How many hours you got in that one, Socorro? Exactly.
Probably like
When's the last
30.
time you guys used it?
30.
When's the last time you guys used it?
But it is a fairly, I was here when it was purchased, just like I was here when they purchased that one they have, because that's what they needed. All the emergency lights and all the,
Parades? Cool.
so we'll be looking for a replacement unit and we'll be looking at how to outfit that to carry the person. And well, I'm guessing we're gonna have to look for 3 units. Because once we get them one, Socorro's gonna want one, Saneli's gonna want one, Clint's gonna want one. And-
Well, if they need it, they need it, right?
Yes,
Need, it's
absolutely.
want need, I got it. I think these guys are on the need.
The three volunteer stations that respond to the
Socorro,
order,
Saneli,
and
and
Fabens, correct?
Fabens.
Fabian, Socorro, and Cenelli are the 3 that
They
are
respond to the
out
border wall.
on the wall. Okay, just to be sure. Motion to,
I'll put an agenda item for the next one, and I'll get the numbers and availability and prices on these skid units.
but for right now, you're gonna get them, do we need to approve that, or is that just gonna?
No,
get
we'll,
done?
we'll figure it out and I'll call Commissioner Santana for the price on what it's gonna cost. And then we'll ratify it at the next meeting. Because I really don't know what it's gonna cost.
Okay, but just in the
We'll get them the
meanwhile,
equipment necessary to do what
you're
they're.
gonna figure it out with chief, all the chiefs, get them their stuff. Okay, all right.
Thank you, Chief.
See what happens when you come to a
Thank
meeting? Yeah. You're right.
So are we postponing this item?
Yes.
Motion to postpone.
I have a motion by Commissioner Butler to postpone.
Second. Second?
Who was the second? Yes. I have a motion to postpone item number 16 by Commissioner Butler, and then second by Commissioner Diaz. Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes?
Aye.
Commissioner Avalos?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 17, discuss and take action on take-home vehicle use. Submitted by-
Commissioners, I brought this to the table tonight because I want to see, I just want to express some concerns, and then I'd like to give the chiefs until the next meeting to provide some information. So let me explain the concerns first, and then what I think is fair for them to provide to us. 2 concerns in particular. One, we have some take-home vehicles that are not being used right now, that are sitting at stations. That not only is not helping the public, but then we also know now that when we don't run these vehicles, they're rotting, they're not being used for their purposes. So the maintenance on it is higher, and so we run into those issues besides the initial investment that's not being used for the public. The other concern that I have is that some of these vehicles are being taken to work, and then there is no agreement between the volunteer and his or her employee to be able to leave work should there be a fire, or sometimes our volunteers are out of state and cannot respond, and the vehicle is either parked at work or it's parked at the house. And so that's my concern, that maybe these vehicles, the ones who are not being used, we need to look at that and find out why. And if they're not going to be used, then reclaim those and get them to a station that will use them. And then secondly, with the ability, with them taking it to work, if they can't respond, either because their job is not allowing them or they're out of state for work, then that vehicle needs to be at the fire station or in the hands of another firefighter that can respond to the calls. So that's my thinking behind this. And what I'd like to propose is that we give the chiefs 30 days to let us know how they run their policies right now. Who has the take-home vehicles? Why does that person have it? Are they allowed to respond to calls during the day? If some departments have vehicles that are sitting idle, an explanation as to why they're sitting idle. And if we can help in any way, then for us to help. So that's what I'm bringing tonight, and that's kind of what the discussion wanted to have, and the ability to give the chiefs that opportunity to provide us that information for next month for us to look at. And if we move forward with this, we do, or if that satisfies us, then it does. But I think it's a fair amount of time for the chiefs to explain, hey, this is our take-home policy. Here's why this is happening. And that way we have a better understanding of it as well. The other thing too is again, we're looking at some numbers, and there's some people that have take-home vehicles that don't respond to a lot of calls. And then the question there would be is, if we have other volunteers who want to respond, why are they not given the opportunity? And that's why we want to understand their policy, so they can explain to us what's going on with the take-home use, the take-home policy. So that's kind of what I wanted to discuss. Chief, do you want to add anything to what I said?
No, I think you've pretty much said all the concerns you've had over the years, and And I think this is now the time to address a lot of it. Just so you all know, we did, in accordance to our contract, send out an email to all the chiefs. A lot of the chiefs replied right away of their current command staff that has who their command staff is and what their certifications are. There's still, I think, 2 departments that have not replied back. So we're waiting to see what their reply is back. We're looking at every angle. Of course, there's a shortage right now of volunteers, and it could go many different ways. But yes, it's a good idea to look into.
I have a couple of questions, just to kind of understand
Sure.
what the desired outcome is here.
Mhm.
So I know we discussed, it might have been years now, take-home vehicle policies, and asked the chiefs to produce the list of their command staff who had take-home vehicles and how many calls they responded to. That we had that conversation, right?
Mhm.
And if I'm remembering correctly, we kind of agreed to let each station manage that individually because the chiefs have their own, I guess, leadership structure and style, and give them the flexibility to do that. So, and I know we just had an incident recently with somebody taking a take-home vehicle somewhere very inappropriate and not using it for ESD business. So I understand that. Are there not enough take-home vehicles at some stations? Are there?
No, there's way more than enough.
There's too many?
Too many in some, and they don't want to give them up to departments that need more.
Okay, but which station, how is that determined? How many take-home vehicles go to each station?
There's never been, I can tell you that there's departments that have 13 and there's departments that have, and correct me if I'm wrong, chief, because I know you will. West Valley has 7 take-home vehicles, the command staff. 6. So again, it's going to vary, but I think with what Commissioner Avalos has said, we have to define what you all are, the expectation is, because it's different from department to department. And like you said, you did set a policy or you did give guidance to let the chiefs, but every chief is so different that it goes from 0 to 100 in different discrepancies of how it's going to be handled. And some do great and some don't do that well. Like I said, I know of a chief's vehicle that's been sitting in the back of a station because it doesn't have a driver, because that chief does not have an assistant chief, a lieutenant, a captain, or anything. He's the sole decision maker for the whole department. So, but yet that department, if I'm not mistaken, probably has 7 take-home vehicles, and it's one of the smaller ones. So, and he wants more vehicles.
So the desired outcome, one of them would be, Commissioner Butler, is that we know, okay, so we have a station that has, for example, 7 or 8, but there's only a need for 3 or 4 of those, that we get those 3 or 4 stations where there's larger call volume, where there could be more people responding with more vehicles. And that to me is important, because right now, like Roger was saying, we have vehicles just parked right now, and that's not serving anyone. And we have other stations that are getting people through their ranks faster, getting them certified quicker, and they want to respond. I think it would be good of us to look at that and say, hey, you know what? We have 3 vehicles here. Here's 3. Get your volunteers going. If they want to go out and firefight, awesome. Let's get you going.
I understand maybe there's a way to make it more efficient, our use of vehicles across the district. What I'm trying to understand is what metrics are we going to use to make those decisions, right? So just because West Valley responds to more calls, does that mean they get more vehicles? Or does it depend on how many volunteers each station has? Or how do we determine capacity?
So that's a discussion that's one of the reasons we need to look at these numbers first, and then we can have that discussion. Like, I would say one would be volume of calls. Obviously, if there's Socorro and West Valley, East Montana get a lot more calls than the other stations. So maybe they need to be supplied with more vehicles because they do respond to a lot more.
But then are we going to turn around and say you're not using them enough?
No,
If they have
right.
more.
So that's a good question, right? That's a discussion we can have. For right now, what I'd just like to see is if the chiefs could tell us, here's who has them. If it's not being used, just tell us maybe that person is injured, or maybe there's a reason why that chief is deciding not to. So instead of assuming or saying like, well, they don't know what they're doing, right? No, maybe there's a good explanation and we need to hear it before we move forward. I just think that because there isn't a district policy, this is something that reoccurs. And so to help mold the proper policy for the chiefs and the volunteers, I think it's a discussion. Right now, like there's no resolution other than I would like for the chiefs to bring us numbers, their own numbers, and explain, hey, this is what's going on. And then we have a very long conversation that could take meeting after meeting, but we figure something out to where, okay, so we understand the policies now, we have an ESD policy, and now we can move forward. And again, for me right now, the biggest concern is we have vehicles that are sitting there that are not being used, and maybe we do have, I'll use Socorro as an example. They're a high volume, they are our highest volume station. Maybe he has 2 or 3 volunteers that are ready to go and he could use a couple more. I don't know. I don't know if he does or not, but that's why.
Right.
More than anything else, Commissioner. But those are good questions you're bringing up that need discussion.
And just one more point, and then I'll be done, is I think if there are specific issues, we should point them out and then have a plan to address them. What I don't want to do is try to standardize a process that's going to penalize Montana Vista and West Valley that have 0 missed calls years over, right? They're doing something right. And so
Correct.
if their take-home policy vehicle looks different from everybody else, but they're still not missing any calls, then what is it that we're trying to accomplish by revisiting?
And so that's a good point. For example, if you remember the last time we had this discussion, there was a talk about the percentages. You're
Yeah.
not making, but then Chief Atler, if you remember, made a very good point. Like we don't meet those percentages, but we have 0 missed calls.
So
0
did
drop calls.
Chief Glidden.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then again, that's why, very good points. Why would we mess with something that's already working, right? If it's not broken,
If there
Don't
are,
fix
if there
it,
are
yes.
issues at specific stations, let's see if we
right.
can
So right now, I think
standardize a
the
policy.
one for the district in a whole is unused vehicles. Why are vehicles not moving? Especially if they can be used going back to higher volume places where there are a lot. I mean, we look at Socorro, I think Socorro had 255 calls, if I'm not mistaken, right? And that's got to be
Almost double than
almost
everybody
double
else.
than everybody else. And again, I don't know if Chief needs more vehicles, but I think if we approach him and ask him, hey, could you use a couple more trucks? Probably not going to say no, you know what I mean? And if he can put those trucks to use and get them rolling, I think it just benefits the entire ESD at that point. So that's really what I'm looking at right now. It's just that. The percentages, agreed. Why would we tell somebody to change something that's working?
Over, Commissioners, if I may, overall, the vehicles that we have in the district are more than enough. For some departments, it's way more. And for some departments, there's a discrepancy. I can tell you that I can have a department that has 1 vehicle for every member that they have. And those members are not meeting the calls. Yet there's other departments that have less vehicles. They're making 100% of the calls. So it varies. And that goes along with fire trucks. We have fire trucks. There's departments that have 4 pumpers and they only have 2 stations. You know what I mean? That's a discrepancy because we are wasting money to upkeep those trucks that are not being used. Again, it goes back to the lack of use. And I'll be the first to admit, there's vehicles that we're going to have out there as a necessary beast. You know, ladder trucks, rescue trucks, heavy trucks, whatever. But we need to start addressing the fact that when we come up and say this truck has been parked there, Mario has come up to me and said, Chief, this truck from year to year, we've put in 200 miles in the last 3 years. We're spending money on a truck that we don't need.
So, and I got you. So it's not just as much logistical, it's judicial. It's also, there's some ethics concerned, I believe. Do we have people who do not have Fire 1 and Fire 2 with a take-home vehicle?
We do.
We do.
All right. That math don't add up for me.
And that's a
That might
that's a
just be me.
ESD policy,
You know
right?
what I'm
That's a
saying?
district policy.
Well, I don't want to get in the chief's business.
They have limited members too, though.
Okay,
And
fair enough.
So it goes back to back. So you all did create a policy that says you're either going to have fire or medical, either or, but you, to be able to have a take-home vehicle.
Yeah.
And you also did create a policy that says, yeah, minimum, you have to respond to 10% of the calls, or all the calls, that outside of what the paid staff responds to. You did create that. We can go back and revisit that. We can go back and look at that. But I think that's what he's looking at when he passes by vehicles, because he does call me and say, how many vehicles are parked at the station right now? I don't know because every day somebody else is driving those vehicles, or it changes when the chief changes his perspective on who gets to drive those vehicles. So I don't have a current list of who is assigned the vehicle.
Can we get a monthly roll-up?
We can't.
Chief, don't you think also we should have like a list of who is driving the vehicles? I mean, shouldn't we know who's driving the vehicles as the district?
You can if that's what you all would like.
That,
I don't know that answer to you right now. I
Just-
couldn't tell you who's driving which vehicle.
I mean, just so that we have accountability on who has them. Because I mean, I can run down and sometimes I'll see like at one house, I'll see two vehicles. So why are there two vehicles at one house? Yes, there's maybe two members in there, but should there be two members having two vehicles when if one of them is at work, the other one can utilize it, or when they're both there at the house at the same time, they can both travel in it? I just saying, I mean, I don't know.
Chief, you-
So I don't know if it helps.
Can you please sign up also for Mark the number?
Yes, I know. So I don't know if it helps. We spoke with Chief Esparza, we put some ideas before back, and we got some great feedback from him. The way we do it, I don't know if it helps you guys. We have only 6 vehicles, but we have a total of 12 medical personnel. So we're kind of on the short end of vehicles, depending on who you like. So what we decided to do is that we kind of put a 15% response rate on the people that do have the takeaways. So what we'll do is, we'll tell them you have to be 50%, you get the vehicle. Every month, we check, and sometimes it might be a little bit low, maybe slightly, but at the end of a quarter, we go back and revisit and say, okay, you didn't meet it, we need you to return the vehicle, and then we have somebody else that's willing to take that responsibility of 15%. So that's what we do. I don't know if that helps or not.
Oh, I thought it was on the whole time.
Could you say it all over again now?
No,
So I don't know if
makes
it helps.
sense.
And then we also do have a policy where they're not supposed to go out and do personal business. I mean, if they're gonna pick up and do an errand for the department, they're allowed to take it. But they're not gonna be going to go watch the movies or something out there in the take home. And then also we do have a thing where if you're not gonna be here for more than, 2 to 3 days, we have them park the truck and make it available in case we do need it. So right now, it's really competitive and it works out great. If our numbers say we only missed 1 call last month, looking back, we used to be, pretty bad off.
Yes.
So it's been working
Yes.
because people are now being really competitive. So all the ones that have the truck right now are doing everything they can to keep it. You know what I mean? So instead of 15%, some of these guys are hitting 20, 30. We have one guy that's hitting 40% to keep that vehicle. So it helps.
I think it's good to know the policy for each station and how those are being implemented and enforced. So I think that's a helpful discussion.
So
because
that'll allow
otherwise
us
it'd
to
be
see it next month, right?
Yeah.
And that way, if we move forward with this, we know, now we have good, solid information instead of just assuming or not knowing. Now if we move forward, now we know where to move forward to and what's happening. So that's all I'm asking for tonight, is just that the chiefs provide us that information next month.
Yeah, now something that bothers me a little bit is that we just replaced our whole fleet of take-home vehicles, didn't we? So if there's excess of vehicles, then why did we just buy all these vehicles?
There's excess because they don't want to release the older vehicles that we want to get rid of. As a matter of fact, I'm about to do a trade with West Valley because they have a vehicle that had hail damage, but I need one for one of the employees here. I'm not going to give him a new truck. I'm going to replace that older vehicle, put some miles in it, and then sell it. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're replacing the old fleet, and we might not replace all the fleet. And that's one of the things that we discussed the last time when we bought extra vehicles. We're going to be looking at every year, there's some vehicles. Right now, a great thing, we had 3 extras, and there is a shortage of vehicles. We might need those vehicles for later, and we're going to replace them. So we are looking to be fiduciariously cautious with the money, but also have the right amount of vehicles per department. But every department that used to have 10, 15 vehicles, they're not 10, 15 vehicles. We're looking at it and we're looking at the mileage. We're looking, do you need a replacement? No. And we're going to give the replacement to the departments that do need it. And the great thing is we had this vehicle ready. So Chief Adler already knows he's getting a new vehicle, and we're taking an 07 vehicle. We're going to use it a little bit here at the district for the employees, put some more miles on it, then sell it. But those are the things we're doing and it won't be replaced again.
Are they not letting them go because they're not like accessorized yet with everything that they need?
No, every vehicle that we have here, the three additionals, they're accessorized, they're fully, but it's not vehicles that not everybody needs additional vehicles. That's what we got to look at. Like I said, I get his point because he calls me and tells me that hey, there's so many vehicles parked here. Yes, there is. I can't change that because I've tried and the general consensus is from you all is to let them continue to do their needs. And we've done that. Now, can we replace some of the vehicles and not replace them all? Sure. Could we cut some on the vehicles that are not getting the mileage? Yes. I can tell you right now, the biggest department, and I can give also props to Fabens because Chief Reyes did come up to me and said, after you and I talked, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, you and your son volunteer, right?
Yes, sir.
And he said his son wanted a take-home vehicle, but he couldn't see the fact that there was going to be two vehicles at the same house, one making calls, one not making calls.
Yeah,
So when,
tell them to move out.
so,
And what it was, and it's kind of funny because the problem that we had is that it was my vehicle. I have it started a certain way because I'm an ALS provider.
Sure.
And he's a BLS provider. And so we were always having the back and forth, like, hey, why'd you move this? So it was, since we have two people and we're responding, sometimes the second call comes out, well, we can't go anywhere because he's in the same vehicle with me. I have extra personnel, I can't send them. So that's part of the issue. But before I let you guys go, I was gonna say this last go around, we had just two vehicles replaced or given to us. So if you guys need some place to take those vehicles, we have plenty of space. Throw that out there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
so requesting on item number 17, you're requesting a policy for every department of how they're issuing out the
Do we
take-home
need
vehicles.
policy? Oh, we need a policy from them, but.
And then we
Chief
will,
Esparza,
go ahead.
can I speak on this one? It's Adler.
Yes, it's recorded, so you can.
Okay, great. There may be a typo. I'm not sure. I read the new district policies recently since the chiefs meeting that transpired last month. And one of the take-home policies, or one of the newest policies, refers to take-home vehicles, and it says that every take-home vehicle operator, if you will make 15% of the calls. And it references an actual meeting where it was ratified, et cetera, et cetera. So I went back into that one because I remember it was Commissioner Avalos who proposed the 15%, and it got tabled, it got brought up, revisited 2 months later, and like Commissioner Butler said, it was left up to every chief to decide. So I don't know if it was a typo that it made it into the district policies, but I'd like to get that addressed so it's removed.
They found it on the minutes as approved, so that's why it was in there. But we can also go back and revisit that, and we're going to revisit that. So if it has to be removed, it'll be removed.
Yeah, because I don't remember that being approved by us.
It was a 15%, but only 15%, which went back to the 10 after the paid staff did their calls. So they have to do 15%. That's what was discussed. And I saw it and it had a motion. So that's why it was put in there. But again, we can go back and revisit that one and look at it as you're proposing now again.
I think we do need to revisit it, Chief, because I don't remember the board ratifying that. I do remember that it got postponed, and I think at the end, the policy was that we would continue to
Yeah.
allow the volunteer stations.
And that
I
was,
could be wrong, but if we could look into that, because I don't.
so yeah,
remember
I
us
did have
voting.
Angie go back and look at all
Yes,
those,
please.
and that's why she put it in there, because it was the only thing that came up.
So then I'm just proposing then that we ask the chiefs to provide us a policy on who has take-home vehicles and how they decide who uses them and gives us that general information so that we can look at it as a board.
I think the only one thing we have to look at, and this is the most important one for us, you're going to be out of town, you park our vehicle in our station.
Right, and that's why I think we need to look at the chief's policy, right? And then we need to make that, if we can have that discussion about making it a district policy at that time, but I'd like to see what the chiefs are doing first and to see if any of them have a rule like that already. But I do think that's a good idea, Chief. I think that goes without saying that if you're out of town or on vacation, your vehicle should not be parked at home. It should be available to another firefighter
Should that be
to make
us
responses.
dictating that or the chief? I think
That should be us.
it's not broke. I think the chief's got a handle on it. Other than guidance, district guidance, so they can build their policies. Because
We-
what works
we can-
for Socorro may not work for Fabens, vice versa, you know what I'm saying?
Or we can revisit it to see what.
Yeah, because how we know if they're home or not? You know what I'm saying? Now, if they go TDY on district class or something like, we get it. If they're going to grandma's house, we're not gonna say,
No, but I'm saying if you're gonna be out of town for a week or so, you're gonna park the vehicle in our property.
So then I guess my motion is to ask the chiefs to provide us a policy on how they run take-home vehicles, and then if they could tell us who has the take-home vehicle right now. That's my motion.
And then, do you want to add that they gotta tell us every time the vehicle changes hands?
I think right now, chief, let's look at the policy first, and then we can have that discussion here. And then if we need to move forward with stuff, then we can, but I think it's important that we see first what each volunteer station is doing before we make some of those decisions.
Policy on who has a take-home vehicle and what their
What they're,
call volume is?
No, no.
Policy, the take-home vehicle policy, I guess.
Okay,
straight gunfire.
and who is it assigned to?
Yes, sir. Who
who's
has,
currently assigned?
yeah, who's currently assigned to the vehicles?
Okay. Motion to postpone this till next month?
I thought that was the action.
I thought the action.
Oh,
was
I'm
for them
sorry.
To provide the policy, yeah.
Motion the policy on the who has a take-home vehicle and who is assigned to the vehicle. Motion.
Yes. Motion.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Avalos, second by Commissioner Barnes. Commissioner Diaz?
Aye.
Commissioner Butler?
Aye.
Commissioner Santana?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnes? And Commissioner Avalos?
Aye.
Motion carries. El Paso County ESC number 2 is now entering into closed meeting pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551071 to consult with the district attorney concerning all matters identified in the agenda where board members seek advice from the attorney and privileges communications to the date of May 17, 2022, and the time is 7:26. Well, whatever you said. El Paso County ESD2 has completed its closed meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 17, 2022. Time is 9 p.m. Regular session, take action on legal matters. It's a motion to postpone till next special meetings. Do I have a motion to postpone as, to the next special meeting? I have a motion by Commissioner Santana, second by Commissioner Diaz. Commissioner Diaz? Commissioner Butler? Commissioner Santana? Commissioner Barnes? Commissioner Avalos? Motion carries. Item number 21, take action on personnel matters. I have a motion by Commissioner Santana, second by Commissioner Diaz. Commissioner Diaz? Commissioner Butler? Commissioner Santana? Commissioner Barnes? Commissioner Avalos? Motion carries. Let's go back to item number 9. Commissioners, do you have a motion to postpone this till the next meeting? Next special meeting, correction. We have a motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Butler to postpone till the next special meeting. Commissioner Diaz? Commissioner Butler? Commissioner Santana? Commissioner Barnes? Commissioner Avalos? Motion carries. Item number 22, discuss and approve the next meeting to take place on Commissioners, how does the 25th look for you all of this month for the special meeting? '24th? Tuesday. '23rd? Okay, how about the 26th? '23rd? May 23rd at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion? Second? A motion by Commissioner Diaz, second by Commissioner Santana. Commissioner Diaz? Commissioner Butler? Commissioner Santana? Commissioner Barnes? Commissioner Avalos? Motion carries. Adjournment at 9:03.